Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, play-by-play, Bally Sports, Carolina Hurricanes. He is Mike Maniscalco. The man sleeps in a suit at this point. It's the playoffs. No days off for Mike Maniscalco. Mike, what up, man? How's the island?
Oh, it's great. We're in Queens, so I mean it doesn't get any better than this. I'm looking for Kevin James. It's been fantastic. Yeah.
For those listening on the radio, they cannot see the face Mr. New York, New Jersey, Joe Giglio just made with you being in Queens.
Yeah.
She was raised out in Brooklyn, I heard.
Exactly. Thank you.
So
you represent
you could, Joe? You're struggling with the Queens.
If I didn't have my own plane, I could see flying to LaGuardia and staying in Queens and then riding out. But I have my own plane, and I can't imagine in the greater Elmont area there they don't have hotels.
We are staying at a hotel basically on the grounds of JFK because there are no hotels that can truly accommodate a NHL franchise near UBS Arena right now.
Interesting. Weird. Is Billy Joel having another concert? Is that why? Like, what's going on?
No, I think he's playing his 418th day at the Garden consecutively tonight.
I was gonna say I've been to one of those shows. They're pretty fun. All right, so let's get to the hockey. No Teuvo Teravainen. We understand that he's got a broken hand. So who steps up now? How are they gonna replace that?
Well, it'll be another Finn, one who is familiar with Sebastian Aho and Jesse Puljujärvi, who the Canes acquired at the trade deadline, as we all know. But he is the next man up. He has the games played with the Carolina Hurricanes so far in this regular season. So they did call up Mackenzie McEachern from the Chicago Wolves, who has playoff experience with the St. Louis Blues, but has no time and no practice time with his Canes team. So it'll be Puljujärvi, next man up, and a big chance for him, a big spot for him to jump in the lineup.
Mike Maniscalco, Carolina Hurricanes, Bally Sports, joining us here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. It's Jovius. I'm Joe Giglio. All right, let's just talk a little bit about the Turbo injury and how you think the team will respond to that. I feel like you said next man up 84 times in that spot there because it's probably been drilled in your head from the coach and the general manager and everybody else. But I'm curious, it was a dirty play. Rod was not happy with the play. And, Mike, might as well go on a tangent here. I was worried about how the Canes would respond from winning in Game 2. Naturally, you're going to relax a little bit. But I think maybe, call me crazy, they might have this might spark a little bit of some juice and a response out of the Canes, this injury.
I think that's absolutely right, Joe, because there's none of this, well, it'll be business as usual. We'll just keep rolling the same lineup out. And look, I don't like that play. Anytime a player comes over with a slash over the top of the hands, there is the intent to injure. And that's just what it is. I mean, it's the stick no longer becomes an instrument to play the game. I hate to be dramatic, but it's going to be this way. It becomes a weapon. The gloves that the guys use now, it's not the ones from the 80s where they went like almost halfway up to the elbow because that was the custom. We're going to hack you on the wrists and go from there. But those sticks were made out of wood. These are made out of, these composite metal materials. And if you hit something in the right spot, it doesn't even have to be the right spot. So what I think this does is for the Canes is it's going to be a collective thing anyway. We've talked about this the whole time. There's no Andre Svechnikov. It's the collective.
Collectively.
I'm going to try to work the collective in, or Ovius, I'll put it on you. It's not the Borg for everybody out there, but we'll try to work this in together.
No, you need an animal collective bump coming back from Bally Sports. That's what you need.
But it's for me, Giglio, I think you're spot on because this is going to give somebody like Jack Drury an opportunity to move up in the lineup, who's played very well in these first two games. It doesn't put any more pressure on anybody else to make plays, but this opens up this team to be a little bit sharper. I think they'll come into this game with a chip on their shoulder. I know that the Islanders are all complaining about a missed call in overtime, and it happened. I'm not going to sit here and say it didn't happen.
It wasn't a missed call, by the way. It wasn't a missed call. It was a completely incidental thing.
Understood. But if there's an Islander fan listening, do you want to spend the next 9.5 years of your life trying to explain this on Twitter? I don't. Let's just move. My thing was this. You don't get the whistle. You got to keep playing. just because.
Which is what Martin didn't do. Martin didn't keep playing. I mean, we've seen that was the biggest mistake he made. He's looking for the call. He didn't get the call, and that opened it up for Foss. So
yeah, and there you go. So, but back to Joe's original point. Yeah, I think that this is something that the Canes can use as a bit of motivation going in here, because I think if they win tonight, the series is over. I'm not saying over in 4, but I don't see any way the Islanders winning 4 in a row on this Hurricanes team.
Well, I think Mike Maniscalco joining us, Bally Sports here on the OG, alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias. It's abundantly clear, and this was evident with Martin at the end of the first period when there was a cheap shot on Jordan Staal and then he sat on him, that was an indication that the Islanders admitted they could not skate with the Canes, period.
I was muting me.
Oh, you muted me.
Oh, I have to call.
Don't touch the equipment, Joe. Jeez. Anyway,
you can take
radio professional.
Why are you
you can take the guy out of print, but the print is always going to be on the guy.
Number 2? I'm always number 2.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Grab the wrong mics today. It's whatever. So back to what I was saying.
I get in trouble.
That's fine. We're going to keep this in there. We'll do it live. So my point here is that the Islanders have indicated very clearly that they're going to play cheap. They're going to try to out-physical them because they know they cannot skate with the Canes. This has been kind of the mark on the Canes for the last 5 years under Rod Brind'Amour, that they don't want to play this way. Although I do find this group to be a little bit more resilient than previous groups. So I'm with Joe in that they want to come out, but they got to do it on the scoreboard. If they're going to try to play that stupidity with the Islanders, well, you're going to give in to their opportunistic tendencies, which is what got them back in that second period. Because that was the part that was bothersome to me if I'm watching the Canes from the coaching staff or if I'm them, where they did a cheap shot on Staal. You could have buried them to start the second period, and they proceeded to play 20 minutes of hockey they want back. 6 minutes on the power play, and they really created nothing. So I feel like that is the thing to look at. You got to beat them on the scoreboard and do your thing. And the Islanders did a better job of being the Canes than the Canes did.
And look, these two teams, if we just put them in a vacuum, they play the same way. I mean, they really do. There's differences in systems and things that they are trying to accomplish on the ice, but really it is a defensive first mindset for both of these teams, and you go from there. The Canes are not going to get into a back alley brawl with the Islanders and try to win, because the Islanders have a line that's designed for that, and that is the Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck line. That's what they do. They go out there, they try to create chaos. If you look at the numbers of hits, and I've brought this up before, that just Martin and Clutterbuck have in the postseason. I mean, heading into it, Clutterbuck had going into, I think, 70 playoff games and 350 hits. Martin had 450 hits in 79 playoff games coming into the series. My problem with the Matt Martin hit too, behind the back, it's late, it's a cheap shot, but then he goes and sits on Jordan Staal. I mean that's Bush. That there's no other way you can look at it. But Paul Stastny in that intermission interview told Hannah Yates, our reporter, it was a great question about, how do you respond to this? He goes, we don't. We play between the whistles. We beat them on the scoreboard, and that's what we do, because that's what the Islanders want. The Islanders want the Canes to try to start chasing after people and get out of what they do. So you can't do that. And especially in the playoffs now, when you get the power play, Joe, to your point, you got to score a goal. That's how you make it hurt when they do something stupid.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this ahead of Game 2, in that I was worried about a regression to the mean with the power play, and that's exactly what happened in Game 2 against the Islanders. But I think we'll close on this with urgency of trying to bury the Islanders, make this a 3-0 lead. As you said, I think the series ends tonight if they can win tonight. You know the last time the Canes went on the road in a playoff game?
Something is telling me it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, Game 3. So that would be 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, June 3rd, because remember, everything was delayed.
Yep.
June 3rd, 2021 was the last time.
During the modified 56-game Central Division schedule, yes.
Shout out to the Central. Pour one out for the Central. I enjoyed playoff-like hockey throughout the entirety of the regular season. But, that's the last time they went on the road. Yep. And they played with their food a little bit last year. And I got to imagine with some of the lingering things that happened last year that's got to be front and center for Rod. Like, look, let's not play around, because we got by that last year by the Rangers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think the message is tonight, there's no playing around. Just go out and again, it shouldn't be, guys, but the first goal in all of these games, no matter how quickly or how long the series goes, whoever scores the first goal then dictates the tempo of the rest of the game. And that's why I think it's especially here on the road. And what you just said, I believe the Canes have now lost 7 in a row. That is the 8th longest losing streak, road losing streak in the playoffs since like 2000.
That's crazy.
I do homework with this, but it's something where I think that if you're Rod Brindamore, you say go out, set the tone early, make them chase us. Period.
Now, for full disclosure, we're having this conversation at 2:00 in the afternoon, but we're airing it now on 99.9 The Fan. You don't know who's going to be in net, but all 3 goalies did make the trip to New York.
Yes, they did. And if you're asking for who do I think it will be, I think the way that Antti Raanta has played, and I don't want to blow Giglio's mind like we did the other day, but I do think if Frederik Andersen was healthy, they would have gone to him.
Okay.
And we'll see how that goes. But I think that the way that Raanta has played in the first 2 games, Antti Raanta, the safe bet is you go with Antti Raanta here tonight.
See, we have the loop. We have the out.
I know.
the loophole. It's like, oh, well, hey, man, Freddie's sick, so we're just going to have to go with Raanta again. All right, Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play. Catch him tonight on Bally Sports. Obviously, you can hear the game on 99.9 The Fan. Adam Gold's got Stormwatch coming your way. Special hour-long edition starting at 6 o'clock. Aftermath immediately following the game, followed by the Canes Quarter Podcast. All right, man, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good, guys.